Hey, this is Hope Alvarez from Urban Vacancy Press, and you're listening to an interview with Naked Walrus.
My name is Dakota Gartner, and I sing and play guitar in Naked Walrus.
My name is Hayden, or Meerkat, and I play lead guitar and sing backup vocals.
My name is Taylor, and I play drums.
Cool. Okay, so I'm Hope, if you didn't get that already.
Yep.
So I'm just kind of curious, like, where'd your band name come from?
That is the question. Okay, so
The real answer or like the funny answer?
Both. Yeah.
okay. Well, as a side note, what we could say is that we get asked that question so much that we've decided to start making up a different answer on every single interview that we do. So it might be real and it might not be, but at the same time, it's really it kind of falls into what the whole experiment is, right?
Okay.
So yeah, like we kind of came up with it originally as something that was just a nonchalant name that we thought was funny because of the fact that we were all kind of playing in separate projects that we were more dedicated to at a certain point. And so Naked Walrus was the initial thing to this side project that all of us thought was just kind of a goofy thing initially, right? And so a little bit down the line, we realized that it was a band, and we decided to stick with it. Besides what most suits, being lawyers and accountants, those types, told us along the way, because they wanted us to change it, but we really felt the validity in the, one, how we liked saying it, and then two, just this kind of like mixture between, funny and sexy, right? If you think of naked, yes, I'm saying naked because I'm in the South. Sorry, but if you think of naked, like you think of sexy, and if you think of a walrus, it's just kind of a funny creature, and so it's something that we really have come to really apply that terminology to.
I just like also too like we're just like, especially lately, we're like trying not to be like take ourselves personally too seriously. Like if you see our like social media, you don't see our faces. So we're trying to go like, we don't want to be the normal band of like taking like serious photos like with our arms crossed or like having some like serious band name. Like when in the end it doesn't really matter. It's just a name, and what's important is like the music and the message.
Oh, that's cool. That's
cool.
And
I mean, what were you going to say?
I mean, like, in a very, like, acute way of, like, where the actual, like, name just came from. It pretty much was just, like, random word association when Dakota and one of our old bandmates were, like, jamming. And they were like, what should we call this kind of thing?
Okay.
And he just kind of came up with, like, the two, quickest things that came into his mind that sounded goofy. And then it literally just stuck.
So, like, the funny story that we could say is, in the end, why we want to stick with this and really make it into something that is, more than a band name, it's a mentality, is because when you're hearing us on national radio and people are, and the radio announcer's saying, and this next song is by Naked Walrus, joke's on you. That's what's up, man. We always wanted it to sound goofy, and we always wanted it to be our own thing. It really has become that.
It's just kind of about not taking yourself or things too serious, Like the music is definitely taken seriously, as it should be. But the name really shouldn't have anything to do with what you sound like.
Yeah,
really.
Exactly, yeah. And then, like, you were talking about, like, the promo pictures and stuff. I was, like, wondering what all that was about.
So we have coined our no-face photo shoots as something we like to say is anti-boy band marketing. And so it applies to exactly what you were saying, or what we were saying right there. It's like, it's not taking yourself too seriously, and at this point, like, pop culture does take itself too seriously constantly. There's examples in all different forms, but, boy bands are a really easy way to kind of just give people a perfect example, right? And so with it, we really want to create art that people are able to see the creativity that we are putting work into. to, and it's not about what we look like. It's not about what, you know, we are as individual humans. You can go and find out about us on your own. It's about the art that we want to put out there. And so, yeah, we did, you know, we started, and, you know, there were a lot of things. We were going through some band member switches, and we didn't really know what was going to go on, and so we wanted to kind of figure out, you know, that in this really interesting way. And so we went out with our photographer. He's this guy, awesome dude named Brian Barnacle, and we kind of we dropped the gauntlet for both of us to go out and do this photo shoot that was like 30 different places with 30 different things covering our faces. And
oh wow.
Yeah, so if you go through our social media, you will see that, and then along with that, we've just kind of built upon it.
Wow. That's
So
really
yeah,
impressive.
it's something that hopefully you will follow. And you know, the Walrus is our comic book character. He goes to every show. He's the one who announces where we're at. We don't need to talk about that because you're gonna see us when you get there.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, last night it was funny. We played in Tyler, Texas. You know, kind of a place that you wouldn't normally play as a rock band like us. And the lady, when I called her, she was like, "Hey, I just wanted to see if it was okay if you didn't wear your masks while you perform tonight."
Oh my gosh.
And we don't wear masks while we play. I would probably die due to the sweating. But
It's insanely hard to even see out of those things.
Yeah.
so with that, it's just a prop. We just
Yeah.
enjoy it, and it's our little thing, you know.
Okay. So on Facebook, you guys said like this is a pretty like one of like the longest tours you've been on. What has the experience been like for all that?
It's definitely been the hardest but most fun tour I think we've been on. We hit like a bunch of like the normal like trials and tribulations of being a band. So our second night on the road, our van broke down. Like not just like broke down, like it like died. The transmission, it was like totally busted.
Oh my
So we broke down like 250 miles outside of Vegas, going to Salt Lake, and we had to get like 3 or 4 tows, dropped it off at a transmission shop, got picked up by a friend who's working on the Warped Tour, took us to our Salt Lake show, and then we hopped on a bus for the night, went to Denver, and then got a rental car after that show, drove back to Salt Lake, put it in a transmission shop, and rented a van, and we're like, yeah, we're just gonna keep going, like.
Wow.
We'll
So-
see you later, our van. We're going on to go pay money for this van.
Oh my
we
gosh.
literally had to ask the dealership that has the van there if we could leave it till the 17th of this month.
And
that
it was like the 28th of June when we said that.
Yeah, they're like,
Because-
it'll be done by this day, and we're like, all right, we have to keep going, so.
like 2 days after we were going to leave town, it was going to be ready. And so that was part of the thing was, can we leave this thing here for the better part of a month and pick it up by the time we're kind of done with all that stuff, you know?
Yeah, I mean, this has been it's one of those, you know, like, when you listen to those stories about the person who, like, ended up being whoever, right? It was definitely one of those challenge moments, you know, and we all went through, I think, one of the most emotional periods that we've ever been through while dealing with that, because it's not just like, you know, other bands at this point, or other bands that we are out there, especially on the Warped Tour, they're signed to labels, and they have management, and they've got agents that book their tours and stuff like that, and we don't have any of that. We're completely DIY right now, and so it's like we are going out there, and you know, everything is embodied by the amount of time and money that we want to put into it, you know. And so when that happened to us, I think that all of us felt the most defeated that we had ever felt in our entire life. And so now it's like, it's interesting because now you get to see us in retrospect, right? And you know, we have gotten to play to the most people that we've ever played for. We've also gotten to meet people that are going to help us expand our career as a band now, and so it really is something where, like, I think it's one of the most amazing things I've ever gotten to experience, and along with that, like, one of the things that we've really learned more than anything on this tour is how amazing the people in our network are. You know, like Kevin Lyman from the Warped Tour, he let us ride on his bus to go to Denver just so he could make sure that we made enough money to go and start dealing with our other thing, right? Like, he didn't need to do that. I mean, and we're friends with him, that's all fine and dandy, but he would have done that for any band because he's done it before, and it's amazing that he does that.
Wow.
Along with
We did
that,
that
like,
for Blink-182.
Yeah, and so it's like
we're like, man, we're crashing Kevin's bus like Blink-182 did back in the day. Like,
Yeah.
That's kind of funny. You know, something lighthearted in a shitty situation, you know?
So it's like that, and then, you know, we went to Wisconsin and we put the whole catalyst to doing this is that our friend David Silva, who does Summerfest, he offered us a gig out there, and his thing that he said was, can you make it? Like, are you going to be able to get out here? And I took on that challenge, and we booked this, right? And so within that process, it's like, the people from Warped, the people from Summerfest, the people that we've met along the road, our families, our friends, like so many people are behind us, and they're the reason why we're going to be successful in the long run. You know, it's friends like you that we meet along the road that we never met before, but you are able to help us feel at home and you know, help us tell our story. Like, that's where it's at, and I think that that's what we really had our eyes open to on this experience so far. But it was fucked up, man.
Yeah.
Super fucked up. You know,
there's certain experiences that you have, like, at a show, like a few days later or a week later after something like tragic, like the transmission going out, right? And there's a moment there where maybe you have an exchange while you're on stage with somebody, or someone comes up to you while you're packing your things up, and you share a moment together, whether they say something really sweet or just anything else that's like positive, that helps revalidate and kind of reaffirm the reasons why you decided to put yourself in this situation. And so, like, that's where that gratifying part comes from, you know, or like Dakota putting in months and months of work to book a show, and us to finally be at the show months later, really far from home, and have it be a success is like, you know, that's, I don't know, you're just,
I mean, it's
stoked on that, you know?
It's amazing because, like, we get so stuck in our own world, you know, whether it's just working on our jobs that we have at home in order to make enough money to go and do something like this, or me, like, sitting there and trying to book all these dates and not knowing where I'm going and not knowing anybody and trying to figure out how I'm going to do it. And so when you get into the actual situation of the tour, when you get to go to, you know, we're here in Dallas, and we're here at Journey 30, and here we're doing this interview with you that was set up weeks ago, like, that is so amazing to think about what you can actually do. And I hope that, like, that's the thing that's become more apparent to me than anything out here, especially with this tour, is that we are dreamers. We are meant to represent dreamers, and we are meant to encourage dreamers to dream. And with that, it's been something that I have realized is, you know, it individually, and I feel as this band as well, like, it's our purpose to put that out there into the world.
Okay, wow. So, like, I feel like most bands, when they, like, form, they're like, oh, our goal is to get signed. Like, why did you guys choose DIY?
I mean, it's not a choice of DIY as right now. I'll tell you the honest God. I mean, like, we can only do so much, you know. I think that it's on one side of it, you know, I think that we could have probably been signed a long time ago if we would have chosen to do the stock band name with the stock storyline, with the stock musical style. You
And
know,
let a bunch of other hands stir the pot, so to speak.
It's easy to place, like, you know, we all went to school for music and we understand the algorithms that go into success. At the same time, like, we look up to artists that are cutting their own road in all levels, you know, like bands like Queens of the Stone Age, bands like Royal Blood, bands like, you know, Nirvana and Foo Fighters and Soundgarden, all those bands, like, they had their own sound that was so different that, like, nobody was just, like, going and, like, really understanding and appreciating them until it was something too. So, you know, right now, I feel like in the next year or so that we're really going to build a team, and we're also, like I said, we work in the industry, so because of that, like, we know what team players are supposed to do, and I don't want to mess with anything that isn't that. And so, you know, when it comes to a label, like, that label's going to be there for the right reasons, and we're going to be with them for the right reasons. And every other team member that we add along the way, it's like, this is the first tour that we have a guy who comes out with us, and he sells merch, and he takes pictures, and he drives. And it's the first time we've ever wanted to add another person in that actually does that. And to tell you the truth, I am so happy that we did it, but I'm really happy that we took the time to understand what that job takes so that we can get what he needs out of it too.
Yeah. Do you have, like, any advice for bands who are, like, doing the whole DIY thing?
I don't know. I mean, be persistent.
Yeah.
Be persistent. Also, you know, and not to sound disparaging, but like be respectful and know your place. Pick your battles. Know when you need to grit your teeth and put some hours in to get that respect that you're demanding or looking for. Like you have to know that whether or not it matters to you what someone else thinks, if somebody has a venue that you want to play at or something, like, you got to play their game. Yeah. And if they don't respect you, now the game is, how do I get you to respect me so that I can play at your venue? You know, like, you just got to know that you're never too good for any gig. Yeah. And don't quit your day job. Yeah. That's probably, to sum it up, like, you're never too good to play anywhere, and don't quit your day job.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's going off of job, like, I think that my main thing that I'd say to bands that are trying to be in a band, period, especially in the times that we're in, is it's a job. It's not just fun. It's not always going to be fun. You're going to have some of the most fun that you've ever had, and people are going to be envious of the things that you get to do, but it's a different type of hard than you'll ever experience. And so don't go into it thinking that it's just going to be easy. Oh, I'm in a band and I'm going to be a rock star. Because it's not like that anymore. Bands need to be musicians first. They need to be business people after that. And then everything that comes with the business of their band, of their brand, that goes from there. It's a lot of shit. It's not, and that's, like, if you look at the history of the music industry, you know, there are hundreds of people that are around an artist like Justin Bieber, or you know, even artists that you know, like Foo Fighters. You know, they've got huge teams that work on all of these different elements so that they can do their job. And so, as of right now, it's a job. And then don't go in it for the money, because it's not about money right now. We are not making anything when it comes, especially with the band thing. Like, we are lucky because we understand the industry, so we'll go and we'll play a acoustic set for 3 hours one night, so we can play another set the next night that's 30 minutes and we get paid nothing for it. You know, it's about understanding what you're doing and picking your battles, like Taylor was saying. But along with that, it's like, you need to understand that with anything, you got to starve it out. And there's no getting beyond that starving it out period unless you are going to put in the extra things that might fuck you in the long run, which is money or connections. And those things are great, but at the same time, they can completely shoot you in the foot. And so, in general, it's like, it's really an interesting road, and I would totally encourage anybody to do it. Like, it's been the best decision I've ever made to follow my dreams, like I said, and I want to encourage them. But I'm a realist at the end, and I gotta tell people that it's just not like gonna just happen.
Yeah, it's it can be lucrative at times, but in a sense where, all right, cool, we just made a decent amount of money, but that money is spoken for. There's certain things, right, because it's going back into a business and things like that. So when you're like, oh, rad, you know, we made $100 in merch, it's like, cool, that goes to the gas tank. The money that we made off the door goes to here. It's like, we're not personally making money. Yeah. It personally costs us money to go do this in more ways than one, really. And so, like, what he's saying, starving it out, like, it can literally be that, you know? But it's up to you, like, what you want at the end of the day. And if you don't take those chances, then you definitely aren't going to ever have a shot at making any of that happen either. So you got to be willing to gamble.
Yeah, we can just end it out with, like, don't give up.
Which is funny, because the gambling thing, we go to Vegas and we don't gamble, but, like, with the band, we gamble every day.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. So you guys released music back in, was it November?
Yeah.
How's that release been?
It's been probably, like, the best, like, receptive, like, album or EP, whatever you want to call it, that we've done. We've had a lot of, like, lineup switches and stuff throughout the years, and this has been, like, the most consistent group. And it was just kind of like a challenge. Like, it started off as a challenge just from our producer being like, hey, like, come do another album with me, like, you know, write a whole bunch of ideas and, like, let's, like, you know, do this. And so we wrote the most, like, song ideas we've ever done, probably, like, a little over 20 probably closer to 30. And yeah, it's just, I think on this one we have found kind of the like direction where, you know, we plan on going, and it's, you know, a departure from our other stuff, which is more just like, you know, like almost classic rock or blues inspired, where it's just like pretty heavy hitting. And whereas this one, we kind of tried to take all of our influences, you know, even aside from the rock music that we listen to, and kind of throw it into what we're trying to put out there.
Some interesting new things. Hayden wrote a song for the first time for this band that is piano based. So like that, I'm not gonna say it's a ballad or anything like that, but that's a departure musically. That's not an instrument that has ever really taken the front seat on a song thus far, and all of us like fell in love with that song immediately. You know, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, going off of the last question about working, I mean, and our answer with that is, it's just like, I think that this has been the album, you know, it's called simple, but it's been really a complex process. It took us the longest to put out of anything musically that we have ever done, and it was because of the transitions that we were going through, both individually and as a band. You know, it gets to be real when you know, get out of college and you are starting to grow up and become your own individual human being, right? And we have done that together. You know, we started this band in our early 20s, and now we're in our late 20s, and, you know, we're becoming adults, and so we've really, like, I think that you can hear the growth in this more than anything that we've ever done, and it really, as Hayden was saying, it has kind of embodied the direction that we're trying to take the sound, you know? Along with that, like, we're trying to kind of do a full, like, an album cycle used to take an entire year, 12 months, right? And we really want to take 12 months to just kind of get people to understand that this is the direction that the band is going, both with the music and the look, like we've been talking about throughout this, you know? And so, so yeah, it's like, it's been really an amazing process, because we've, you know, gone the furthest that we've ever gone. We've, you know, had the most, like, plays that we've ever had. We did a music video for the first time. We've just really, like, been setting a lot of challenges for ourselves that we've been able to actually accomplish, and we're really excited about that. And so now it's cool because we've got a couple new songs that we've already got mixed, or basically all laid down. We need to have them mixed, but we're looking at trying to start releasing some new music at the end of this year. And with that, like, I'm just so excited about what we're doing. It sounds like just so what I always wanted to sound like as a band. And so it's really cool to be able to, one, you know, be creating that, but also creating it with my best friends. Like, I get to hang with I say that at the end of each show, like, thank you so much for allowing me to do this with my best friends. And it really, I think that it's starting to show in everything that we do.